How long was that? 30 minutes. You'll cut that down to about 5. How much do you edit? It's work, right? Red Bull, baby, F1. The elephant in the room. Are we rolling now? Okay, I won't say that. Not sure if Megan's making fun of me or if it's just a different look. My boyish charm since the beard is gone. Hey, talking about partnerships today, and perhaps you've been in one. Some of us have been in them already, and if you haven't been in one, you'll probably be in one or be asked to be in one here in the future. Very popular thing in business. It's very common, and I'm going to talk about it today. The do's and don'ts and what you should look out for, what you can expect. My name's Brad Hogan. I'm a business guy here in Central Florida and just pivoting my way through life and just talking about the fundamental mindset of where we need to be as we go through small business. I get asked frequently about partnerships, and I think it's one of the most common, biggest mistakes made in business can be made in the partnership arena. Partnerships can be difficult. It's almost like a marriage. I mean, you spend so much time with that person typically, depending on what that partnership looks like. You're just going through everything. I mean, what can be more intimate than the financing part? You know, and when you're in business together, that's part of it. Why would you take on a partner? Why do we do that? When do we take on a partner? When should we not take on a partner? I think a lot of people that are in partnerships, they don't need a partner. They shouldn't take one on. There has to be a mutual benefit. We can think about multiple partners, you know, whether it's 2 or 3 people, 2 or 3 guys or gals or a mixture, whatever it is, starting out in business, or it could be just you and one other individual. Why do you do that? And why not to do it? Well, the why not is when you've got everything that you need, and because it's your friend and you like them, that's not a good reason to take on a partner. That person probably wants to partner with you because they don't know anything, they don't know anybody, they don't have any money, and those are reasons not to be in a partnership. They're not bringing anything to the table. And those are the exact reasons to be in a partnership. So talk about the one that makes the most sense. I've got the money and I've got a friend that's got the know-how. They know how to do this business, but they don't have the money to do it. So let's go into a partnership. Just own personal experience for many, many, many years in owning several businesses. Kind of my method of operation, my MO, if you will. While I didn't set out to do this, this is what happened over and over and over. I would meet people, they would come in and they were looking to borrow money. I would loan money to different people. I was really investing in businesses. They would have a business idea, not a good one. I'm not going to invest in their idea. But in talking to them, what do? Just give you an example. And the gal said, well, I've run staffing agencies, you know, forever. I've done that for the last 20 years. I said, okay, well, what's that look like? I've heard about that. I've heard about staffing agency. How's it work? Well, we have an hour and a half conversation. She tells me all about the guy she works for. He makes tons of money. It's a great business. Talking intricate details about how it works, how it operates. She obviously knows this thing inside and out. I ask her, what kind of money do you make doing that? What kind of money does he make doing that? What happens by happen chance, I've got my eyes open, I'm looking for it. I get a phone call from a buddy, financing again. I said, well, what do you got? And he said, well, Brad, I've got the opportunity to pour the concrete for the Guitar Center. Huge space, almost, I'm going to call it like a warehouse type space. And I said, okay, where do I fit in? What do you need? And he said, well, I've got a contract. I've got a solid backer. They're going to pay me. And I'm asking questions. Do they have money in escrow? Are we sure we're getting paid? Yep, going to get paid. Verified all that. What do you need? Well, I need to pay my guys on Friday, but I can't make it to the end of the contract before I get paid. So I need to borrow some money for that. I said, okay, let me think about that. Thought about the gal that was in the office. She does this thing. So I called her up and said, hey, you want to go into partnership with me? Come on in. Let's talk it out. And I brought her in and said, look, I'm going to make you president of this company. Here's what we're going to do. Do you know how to do this? And she goes, yeah, I know exactly how to do it. This is what I do. I'll put up all the money. What do you get to run it, etc. We went into a partnership. The partnership worked great, beautiful. We finished that. We went on to do other things together. Turned out to be a great partnership, but mutual benefit here. I got to do my deal with my guy. I got to factor 1.5 on the money, made sure the taxes were paid, the insurance was paid, all that stuff. What does a silent partner look like? Now, a silent partner could be the bank. It could be somebody that's just invested in your business, but they're not really doing anything. Silent partner's okay if it's a bank. When do we use a bank? When don't we use a bank? And that's when you've got the know-how and you don't really need a partner. You really just need an asset of some kind. And be open-minded. I mean, there's other types of partnerships. What if someone has a building, you don't have money to pay rent for the warehouse, but you need the space, you've got the know-how, you've got the business. Is there some kind of, I'm going to call it a partnership or agreement that we could come to that would mutually benefit both people? And what's that look like? I mean, do they now get a big chunk of your business and get to stay in it forever, even after you can pay rent? Partnering up versus a partnership, what's the difference? I have a business over here. I'm doing great in my business. Everything's fine. I'm not looking for a partner. There's a lot of stuff I don't need. I don't need money. I don't need sourcing. I don't need a lot of this stuff. But somebody comes along and they've got a great idea and they contact me and say, hey, let's create a partnership. Let's go in a partnership together. Let's do this thing together. My answer is always yes, 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 yes. But when we get to the end, it's not shock and it's not, I'm taking a left turn at the end. We're partnering up. And what that looks like is they have their business and I have my business. And while I'm doing my business here and they may be doing their business here or they may not have one, but we're going to get together on this one idea or this one product and I can still run my business over here. I don't need to give away profits, intellectual property, and some of those things that I've already created over here because somebody wants to partnership with me on the whole business. That's not necessary. It's only for this one piece. If you look at Fortune 500 companies, they do this all the time. If you think about Amazon, they partner up with people all the time. So fulfillment by Amazon, if you do that, very popular, probably millions of people doing it, Amazon's a partner with those people. But that doesn't mean the people own half of Jeff Bezos' idea or company or the publicly traded company. They don't get stock. And if they want to change up the deal, they want a different product, they've got a different idea, they can do that at any time. And everyone mutually benefits. I want to talk about how real business works and the most common mistake made. Perhaps you've heard me talk about this before. I'm very big on this idea or this concept just because it's the absolute most common mistake in small business. What happens in small business is frequently we're going to go into business together. It's a partnership. What frequently happens is one guy's got the money. I'm going to put up all the money. And you've got the know-how, which I don't have. And we're both excited because we're going to make millions of dollars together. You couldn't do this without the money, and I couldn't do it without the idea. So we need each other. It's a good thing. We open an LLC or an S Corp or whatever we're doing. We open the company and we start running. It's working out great. The company's making money. And because I don't have the know-how, I go to Costa Rica and I'm laying on the beach. I'm just living down there. And what will happens every day in partnerships. We get into this thing 1 year, 2 years, it's profitable, everything's great. Your spouse, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your family, somebody says, hey, you're doing all the work and Brad is laying on the beach in Costa Rica and you send him 50 cents of every dollar that comes in. That's not fair. Well, here's what happens. You call me and you go, hey, this isn't fair. I'm doing all the work. You're doing nothing and you're getting 50 cents of every dollar. Guess what my response is? Yeah, and you wouldn't be in business if it weren't for me. Well, these partnerships blow up all the time. That's why partnerships are tough. But I've got an answer to the problem. And the answer is, let's run this partnership like a real business, not like a mom and pop shop. We're excited and we're going to start this thing tomorrow. Let's back up. Let's take a breath. And the way a real business operates is we get together and I ask you, okay, for what you're getting ready to do, it's just you and I in the beginning. You're going to wear a whole lot of hats. And there's some stuff I can do to bring value. I know how to set up the corporation. I know the legal part. I know how to do the operating agreement. I know how to get the EIN, some stuff, and maybe you know that too. But I'm going to do all this stuff. I'll set up a Gantt chart, and here's everything we need. I'll help with the marketing strategy, the marketing plan. I'll help implement all this stuff. I can do the back end stuff. As it happens, once I'm done with that, the bulk of my work is done. Yes, I can be active as the business expands. You're ingrained in the day-to-day forever until a manager is hired. So the question is, what is the financial value of me? What is the financial value of you? What would a manager get paid to do this? I ask that question. When I go into these partnerships, what's a manager get paid to do this? You come back and say, well, the typical pay for this job is between $90,000 and $120,000 a year. And I go, great. Well, we don't have that money and we're just starting out. We're this big. We can't afford that. Let's figure out something else. How about we do a base of $36,000, $3,000, a commission on everything that's done. Let's do that until we can get you to, and I'll set some parameters in there. Let's get you to a base of 72,000. You can make $6,000 a month, plus you're getting a commission or an override on the business as part of your compensation package. I'm going to do this work up front. I'm not going to take a salary. Okay, I'm not going to take any money out. That's not my thing. I'm not in a position where I need that. I've got other business. But going forward, if I come back in this role, we will decide at a later date what that compensation looks like, depending on what direction we take the business. Let's go back to our scenario. We're up and running. We're in this thing 12, 24 months. You've got a salary of $72,000. You're getting paid every month. At the end of the year, we've got $100,000 sitting in the bank account. That's profit. So your salary in our P&L as an expense. It's in our profit and loss statement. You get paid every month. We've now got $100,000 sitting there. Let's say we're going to distribute 100,000 at the end of the year. We're 50-50 partners. You get 50,000. I get 50,000. Well, what that really looks like is you took 50,000 in profit as a partner and you took 72,000 in compensation for your work. So you really made $122,000. I made 50,000 for the year because I'm a partner. That's what that really looks like instead of me being on the beach and taking 50 cents of every dollar. Does that make sense? And if you guys have got questions, throw them at me. I'm happy to answer them. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I've just been through this many, many, many times. As always, consult with an attorney, consult with an accountant, etc., as you're going through these things to make sure it's the best thing for your situation. Part of that operating agreement, very important. What happens if someone dies? Morbid thought. Don't want to think about it. Oh, it's not going to happen. We're young. We're healthy. I got to tell you, when I see people in business or I get the phone call, it's horrible, not just that the partner died. What's horrible is the situation that the business is left in. Because I'm going to tell you real life stuff. I see this over and over and over. When the partner dies, you're now in business with your partner's spouse who doesn't know anything about the business. Oh, and by the way, she's got a brother that's educated. He doesn't know anything about the business, but he now thinks that the business is worth 10 times what it's actually worth. He comes in, he wants his sister to be bought out for some ridiculous number, or if you're not going to buy them out, they want to come in and have a say-so how the business is run. It's been running great for the last 10 years, but no, they've got the idea it should be run this way, and they've got to say, it turns into a mess. There needs to be a clause in there. It's a buyout at a determined factor. The buyout would be, 1 times gross, or 1 times gross divided by 2, because we're partners. That's the value of the business. If that number's big, you look at that and go, well, gosh, that's going to be $1 million. Key man life insurance. That's what that is. That life insurance would buy out, and I'll do another segment on financing, but that's what that's for. Those things are very, very, very important. And you could buy term life insurance very, very, very cheap. What happens if a partner gets divorced? Well, hey, you may be going into business today or tomorrow and, well, my partner isn't even married. Well, okay, they may get married. And once again, what does that look like in the event of a divorce? Are we now drug into a legal proceeding that we've got nothing to do with because we're partners? Well, absolutely. That business is going to be drug into the deal. Believe me, the other partners got some preconceived value that your business is worth 10 times more than it's actually worth. Your business may be worth $5 million. They think it's worth 20, and they want 10 million. You're thinking 20 million? I mean, if you can get 10 for it tomorrow, have at it. I'll take half. It's just the way this thing goes, and it needs to be spelled out in black and white, needs to be in the operating agreement. Here's what happens. Again, we can talk about strategies. What do? You like your partner has value, you need your partner in the business, but they're going through a divorce. So what do? How do we get them out? Happens often, happens a lot. It needs to be thought about so it doesn't turn into a big mess. You just need, and it's simple operating agreement, really, taking the time to put this thing together. So the other thing I get asked about, again, not an accountant, not an attorney, but I'll explain the simple concept of C Corp versus S Corp versus LLC. What's the difference? Which one do I check off? I'm going to incorporate, what am I? A C Corp. That's General Motors. That's Microsoft, Ford, Amazon. We're none of those, okay? We're not those guys. You can always change your corporate status. So S Corp, what's an S Corp? S Corp operates, it stands for small corporation. That's a lot of us. And even if we're in an LLC, talk about the difference here in a second, a lot of it operates like an S Corp. And we're seeing that more and more as we do our taxes and our 941 quarterly filings and some of that stuff. They want us to check the box S Corp, where LLC is becoming less and less of an option. So what is an LLC? Well, an LLC is not so much how it operates, but allows for pass-through income. And again, consult the accountant. Should I file at the end of the year? Should I do a 941 quarterly filing? What should I do? That's all the finance side. Basically what it is, it's the pass-through income. It operates just like an individual. You get the tax advantages of having that income and being able to write it off just like an individual. So what do I do? If it's just me, or it's me and my daughter, or a family member or something, we're going to an LLC. If it's just me, I'm in a single member LLC. If it's my daughter and I, we're going into an LLC, but it's not single member. I'm in more than one member. When do I use an actual S Corp? When do I do that? If I'm going into business with someone I don't know, they're not a family member, we're just friends. And I want to say this about paperwork. A lot of times friends will say, yeah, that's not necessary. Well, I'll tell you what, documentation, that paperwork, it's good business. And if you want to keep a friend, do the paperwork. It outlines everything. There's no ambiguity. There's no gray areas. Do the paperwork. When I get into business with someone that's not a family member, I don't know, and we're going into an actual partnership, we're not partnering up, my preferred method. We're doing an S Corp. I'll tell you why. We may at some point need even a third partner. This is where it gets a little murky. Some funnier things start to happen. If we're in an LLC, this is what can happen. It's you and me and Joe. Joe and I get together and decide that you didn't really do that much work this year. And we decide that the $120,000 that's left over at the end of the year, we decide we're going to take it all in a distribution. We may have previously talked about keeping some money in the bank. Now we decide we don't want to do that. And we also decided that you didn't do that much work this year. So Joe and I are going to take the whole 120. He's going to get 60. I'm going to get 60. You're going to get 0. You can't do anything about it. We're an LLC. We outvoted you. Nothing you can do. Not fair? Yeah, that's your opinion. Joe and I have a different opinion. We're keeping the money. Do you want to get into a partnership with two other people that are maybe good friends? You've got the know-how or you've got the money. You think because you created the LLC, you're in charge, and everybody's 33%, there's some of these other things you need to know about. So what am I doing in that situation? I'm going to an S Corp. An S Corp defines percentages. And the percentage that's defined is how the payout goes. While Joe and I may outvote you, that doesn't matter. If we're all 33% equal partners in this business, that's how the distribution goes. It's to protect yourself. But these are important things to know about a partnership. The other thing I want to talk about, I'll go into financing. I'll talk about that in another episode. What does financing look like? When do we get bank financing? When do we bring in family to finance? When do we do a PPM, a private placement memorandum based on the Security and Exchange Act of 1933, small cap, $5 to $10 million? I can go on about that stuff forever. But what's that look like? Hey, for now, get your partnership right. Partner up when you can. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.